Picture this: the crack of dawn breaking over the quiet suburbs of Willow Creek, a sleepy neighborhood in Ohio where the air still carried the chill of night, mist rising from dew-kissed lawns like whispers of forgotten dreams, and there I was, jolted awake by the deafening roar of heavy machinery grinding against wood and metal, my heart pounding wildly in my chest as if it sensed the violation before my eyes did, rushing outside in my boxers, bare feet slapping against the cold concrete, only to see a bulldozer tearing apart the wheelchair ramp I'd built with my own hands for my sister Sophia, her only lifeline to the world beyond those four walls, the structure splintering under the blade's relentless assault, shards of wood flying like shrapnel from a battlefield. And standing there with a smug grin, clipboard in hand, was Victor Hale, the self-appointed king of our homeowners association, his silhouette backlit by the rising sun, watching his $8,000 worth of hope and independence crumpled into dust, while inside the house, Sophia stirred in her sleep, unaware that her dignity was being demolished right under her nose, the vibrations shaking the foundations of our home, and all because of a paperwork mix-up that he refused to forgive, handing her a $2,200 bill for the cleanup like it was some twisted joke, his voice cutting through the noise with feigned politeness. But what he didn't know, what none of us fully grasped yet in that moment of raw shock and betrayal, was that my unassuming sister, the one he'd pegged as an easy target, held the keys to his entire empire's funding, her quiet strength simmering beneath the surface like a storm about to break. And this, my friends, was the spark that ignited a revenge so epic. It could only unfold in real life, a tale of underdogs rising against the petty gods of suburbia. Let me pull you back a bit. Rewind the tape to how we ended up in this nightmare. My name's Ethan. And 3 years ago, tragedy struck our family like a freight train in the dead of night. Our parents gone in a blink from a horrific highway collision, the news delivered by a stoic officer at our door, rain pouring down as if the sky itself mourned, leaving me and Sophia with these two cozy bungalows nestled side by side on Oak Lane, in what used to be a tight-knit community where neighbors waved hello and shared backyard barbecues, laughter echoing under summer stars. But times change, and so did the vibe when power-hungry folks like Victor moved in, his arrival marked by immediate complaints about overgrown hedges and mismatched mailboxes, turning paradise into a petty fiefdom ruled by bylaws and fines. Sophia had always been the brains of the operation, her mind sharp as a tack, while I hammered nails and bossed around crews on construction sites. Muscles aching from long days under the sun, she dove into what she vaguely called policy advising for the government, keeping details under wraps, working from home in her makeshift office, taking calls that echoed with terms like budget allocations and regulatory oversight, her fingers flying across the keyboard in rhythmic determination, and I'd tease her about being a pencil pusher, never imagining the weight she carried, the decisions that shaped lives beyond our little world. But after our folks passed, she'd hole up in there for hours, her voice firm and commanding through the door, handling matters that sounded way above my pay grade. Yet she played it humble, just my little sis grinding away at bureaucracy, sharing quiet dinners where we'd reminisce about childhood adventures, her laughter a balm against the grief that lingered like a shadow. Then, 18 months back, fate twisted the knife deeper. A reckless driver slammed into her at the crossroads near Harper's Corner store, the screech of tires and crunch of steel replaying in my nightmares, sirens wailing in the distance as I raced to the scene, heart in my throat, sending her to Mercy Regional Hospital for 4 grueling months of surgeries and beeps from machines that monitored her fight for life. The sterile white walls closing in during endless vigils at her bedside, followed by 6 more in rehab, where she learned to maneuver a wheelchair through sterile halls that smelled of antiseptic and despair, her determination shining through gritted teeth and sweat-soaked therapy sessions. And when she finally came home, broken but unbowed, I poured my soul into crafting that ramp. Every board cut with precision, the scent of pine and varnish filling the air as I added sturdy handrails that blended seamlessly with the house's charm, shelling out $8,000 from savings. Late nights under floodlights perfecting the incline, but the joy in her eyes as she glided up it for the first time, tears streaming down her face, made every penny feel like a bargain. A bridge back to normalcy. Or so I thought. Her hug afterward fierce, whispering thanks that mended something broken in me too. I jumped through hoops for city permits, getting the green light in record time, paperwork shuffling through bureaucratic mazes, assuming the Willow Creek HOA would get looped in automatically, naive me still believing in straightforward decency amidst the red tape. But enter Victor Hale, a 40-something claims adjuster who'd slithered in from some upscale enclave 2 years prior, treating our modest enclave like his personal boot camp. His ex-wife had bailed months ago, no surprise to anyone who'd seen him nitpick lawn lengths with a tape measure, his tape snapping like a whip, finding Mrs. Alvarez for holiday lights lingering into the new year because they clashed with his arbitrary decor schedule. The guy strutted around in starched button-downs and pressed slacks, his sleek black BMW spotless as his condescending smirk, voice dripping with nasal superiority, eyes gleaming only when he crushed someone's spirit, a walking embodiment of suburban sadism, his petty edicts whispered about in hushed tones at block parties he never attended. That fateful morning, the bulldozer's tracks scarred the lawn as I pieced together the mess. Turns out the HOA notice had gone to the wrong address, 142 Oak Lane instead of 412, a clerical glitch. Anyone with a heart would have fixed with a simple call, but Victor declared it deliberate defiance, denying the usual month-long window to sort it retroactively. Standards must be upheld, he drawled, as the machine's engine drowned out Sophia's soft sobs from her wheelchair on the porch, still in her nightgown, the acrid smoke from the exhaust mixing with her quiet heartbreak. Her hands trembling on the armrests as memories of hard-won mobility shattered before her. And to add insult, he slapped that removal fee invoice in her lap, as if charging for erasing her mobility was the height of civility, his clipboard a shield against empathy. Then the fines started rolling in, $200 a day, stacking up like a debt we never asked for, each notice a fresh wound. And what gutted me most was seeing Sophia, my firecracker of a sister who'd once debated scholars into the ground with unyielding logic, just accept it, nodding meekly, inquiring about payment plans. In a whisper, I feared the crash had shattered more than her body, dimming the spark in her eyes that used to light up rooms. But behind closed doors, her calls shifted tone, clipped discussions about grant adherence and oversight mechanisms, her posture straightening as she spoke, and I assumed she was scouting legal aid for the disabled. Poor fool that I was, clueless that she'd already begun weaving a web that would ensnare Victor in his own arrogance, her mind plotting moves like a chess grandmaster in the quiet hours. 3 days later, the pressure cooker heated up when Victor showed at our doorstep like a mob enforcer, flanked by his shady attorney buddy Derek, who reeked of cheap aftershave and wore a suit that screamed infomercial sleaze, striding up the path. With crackling polyester confidence, his briefcase swinging like a weapon. "Ethan, Sophia, we need to address your predicament," Victor sneered, his grin twisting like he savored the word. Eyes darting with predatory glee, and Derek whipped out a sheaf of papers, rustling ominously in the breeze, declaring we owed $3,400 in penalties and demolition costs. Pay up in 3 days or face liens on both homes, the threat hanging heavy like storm clouds. And get this, they branded my legitimate city permits as fake since HOA sign-off came first, as if we ran some underground racket. Victor even vowed to 6 city officials on us for breaches, all while eyeing Sophia in her chair, the hypocrisy boiling my blood to the point where my fists clenched involuntarily. But that's when my builder's instincts kicked in, years on job sites teaching me that rule throwers often dodge their own, dodging inspections and cutting corners. So while Sophia vanished for another enigmatic call, muttering about federal audit protocols, her voice carrying a newfound steel, I snuck to the town archives under flickering lights, dust from old files tickling my nose, fingers trembling with anticipation as I uncovered gems, and bingo, Victor had rushed his own patio extension 8 months earlier, bypassing reviews and jutting 3 feet past setbacks. A blatant city code slap, photos showing the overreach like a smoking gun, and I recalled from trade journals how selective enforcement could gut an HOA's legitimacy under Ohio statutes. making their power evaporate like morning dew, the realization fueling a fire in my gut. Digging deeper, patterns emerged like cracks in a faulty foundation. 6 other folks with similar slip-ups got grace periods, no questions asked. Mrs. Jenkins with her tool shed approved post facto after a friendly chat. The Carters slapping up a gazebo sans paperwork, but earning only a nudge over coffee. Yet us? Dawn rayed destruction. The bias screamed discrimination, whispers of favoritism echoing in the records. And when I laid it out for Sophia, she just gave this enigmatic nod. Fascinating. Ethan, truly fascinating. Her eyes twinkling with secret knowledge before retreating to her den for more hushed talks, fragments about bias patterns and funding stipulations seeping through. Me thinking she prepped for court, but her demeanor hinted at strategy over supplication, a quiet confidence that puzzled yet inspired me. Meanwhile, the suburb buzzed like a stirred hive. Mrs. Jenkins filming discreetly from her curtains, her camera whirring softly. Mr. Thompson from the tool shop swinging by with free bolts and whispers of aid to reconstruct. That Hale guy's been itching for a fight with everyone. He grumbled, sawdust clinging to him like war paint, tools clinking in his bag as he shared tales of others' woes, and an unsigned note under our door hinted at a budding alliance. You're not the only targets, sparking a quiet uprising in Willow Creek, neighbors exchanging knowing glances over fences. But Victor ramped up his reign, fines ballooning to $1,000 and climbing. Each bill a dagger twist, lodging gripes with inspectors to yank my builder's credential over shoddy work. The irony stinging as Sophia compiled dossiers with forensic zeal. Every slight noted, every law cross-referenced in late-night sessions under desk lamps, urging me to trust the process when rage threatened to boil over, her comma anchor in the storm. And 2 weeks on, he staged a spectacle at the rec hall, stale coffee aroma clashing with carpet shampoo as 40 neighbors crammed in, humming bulbs amplifying the drama like a courtroom thriller. His slideshow, upholding neighborhood integrity, flashing images of our ruined ramp, labeling it a blight and kid hazard, though it met every accessibility spec down to the grip texture. And in a low blow, he sneered, certain individuals believe they're exempt from basic civility, then cry foul when consequences bite. His glare piercing Sophia, my pulse racing toward eruption. Veins throbbing with suppressed fury, but I countered with my sleuthing haul, laptop whirring as I projected Victor's patio hypocrisy and the uneven rulings, the crowd's murmurs swelling like a gathering storm, gasps rippling through the seats. Yet he slimed out, claiming verbal pre-approval sans proof, his voice cracking slightly under pressure, and rallied 5 investor cronies who'd snapped up properties to push gentrification, their nods synchronized like puppets, swinging the vote to delay and hike fines to $500 daily, his gavel smack sealing what felt like our doom, the sound echoing in my ears long after. Yet in that defeat, magic stirred as Sophia rolled to the mic, her tone measured, probing about dignity mandates and grant oversight for funded groups. Questions that twitched Victor's brow like ticks, sweat beading on his forehead under the lights. And post-meeting, allies surfaced, Mrs. Alvarez confiding fines for her yard statues and tearful whispers, the Millers over kitty drawings on pavement that faded with the rain, a digital forum, Willow Creek United, exploding to 200 overnight, Mrs. Jenkins masterminding it with her footage. Trove, posts flooding in with shared indignities. Local scribe Lena probing HOA ledgers, making Victor squirm in interviews he dodged, fines cresting $1,500 as patrols circled like sharks. Flashlights piercing the night, but Sophia's nightly calls hummed with executive edge, me oblivious she orchestrated from shadows, her strategies unfolding like a novel's plot, and 3 days post. He crossed into madness, red-tagging her home for inaccessibility. The inspector shuffling awkwardly as water flooded our yard from accidental digs, mud sucking at wheels like quicksand. Power flickering only our street in sweltering heat. Her equipment beeping warnings. Mail vanishing when docs were due. Restraining orders slapped on me for menace based on fables. Barring me from half the hood. The paper's ink fresh as my disbelief. Rumors flying we schemed with extremists to topple wholesome living. poisoning wells of trust, but my trade savvy led to his fiscal skeletons, his firm snagging every HOA gig at bloated rates. $50,000 lawns for $15,000 worth. Tree jobs at $8K apiece when locals quoted peanuts. Fountain fixes ballooning to $15K for pump swaps. Reeking of kickbacks that screamed fraud, especially with federal grants in play, spreadsheets revealing the graft like buried treasure, and showing Sophia, her grin sharpened like a blade. Priceless intel, Ethan. As another call referenced fraud probes and budget breaches, her aura shifting from victim to vanguard, a transformation that filled me with awe. The enclave morphed into a surveillance state, cameras sprouting on Victor's turf, red lights blinking like accusatory eyes, guards knocking twice daily under safety guises, their boots thudding ominously. Towing her med supplies from our drive with chains rattling, noise beefs over her chair's wheels creaking on floors, Mrs. Jenkins coerced into complaints under pet fine threats, turning friends into reluctant foes with apologetic glances. Yet Sophia thrived, demanding transparent books with laser questions that bored sweats betrayed, her space a bunker of charts and secure lines. Fines topping $2,500, complaints aiming to gut my firm with fabricated reports, but her dialogues mentioned Columbus and D.C. like command posts, coordinating unseen forces, Mrs. Jenkins nabbing. Nocturnal prowls on tape, shadows dancing in the glow, Mr. Thompson joking about accidental truck mishaps over beers, but we played clean, Victor baiting for slips with taunts and traps. Unaware, each bully tactic etched his federal rap sheet, the hunted poised to hunt, tension coiling like a spring, and then my blunder unlocked the vault, bursting in with coffee, aroma mingling with her typing frenzy, freezing at the screen blaring, Governor Sophia Reynolds, fiscal oversight session, her addressing suited bigwigs with gubernatorial gravitas, calling her, Your Excellency. My mug trembling as reality imploded, the room spinning with the weight of revelation, my lowly advisor, Sis ruling Ohio remotely post-crash to dodge spotlights, those calls directing probes. Not pleading for help, her poise unbroken amid the chaos. You've been the governor? I stammered, world tilting on its axis, second term no less. And yes, she'd greenlit $280,000 to our HOA from her community pot, power so vast it dizzied. We'd wielded a cannon against his slingshot, harassing the hand that fed his funds, every grant tied to accessibility and equity clauses he'd trashed. Her files chronicling statewide abuses across 47 associations, not vengeance but reform on a grand scale. Why hide it? I raged, sleepless months thinking us doomed replaying in my mind. But she needed my raw fury to rally locals, plus expose tyrants' depths against helpless folk. Irony poetic as Victor built his own case, while she noted meticulously, now, her eyes fierce with righteous fire, we demonstrate true authority, the air charged with impending reckoning. Her den revealed as a fortress, walls pinned with maps of rogue HOAs like battle plans, colored markers, tracing patterns of abuse across the state, whiteboards logging breaches with obsessive flair, dates and details interconnected like a spider's web, encrypted gadgets humming justice's prelude. Secure lines buzzing with updates from allies. Enter the command hub, she quipped, grin electric. A spark of humor lightening the gravity, allies unveiled as elite. Elena Voss, posed as rights counsel but AG strike force, her briefcase hiding legal arsenals. Lena coordinating exposes with Capital Press, stories drafted in secrecy. Mrs. Jenkins clips part of Pro Evidence Net. Footage edited into damning montages, strategy elegant, grants demanding compliance or clawbacks with personal hits via civil rights statutes. Victor's books dissected showing $180,000 scams over 2 years, tree trims and fountains padded like mob rackets, forensic trails leading to hidden accounts, media timed for session splash, social blasts with hashtag HOA Justice, queued for viral spread. Organizing morphed to Intel Web, 23 households' tales archived with precision, affidavits sworn in quiet meetings, training turned us into sharp witnesses, role plays honing testimonies. Digs exposing Victor's prior Kansas schemes and suits, Old victim stories adding layers of precedent, timeline locked like ops. Evidence wrap in 2 weeks, filings in 1, climax at his sham. Summit, contingencies mapped for every twist. Victor's frenzy peaked with a $500 monthly levy vote to bankroll his defense. 48-hour notice barely legal. Canvassing reeking desperation as he knocked. Doors with forced smiles, sabotage spiking with pipe bursts flooding mud traps for her chair, water gushing like unleashed fury, blackouts straining her gear amid humid misery, mail intercepts. Delaying critical packets, my petitions and shop huddles feigning desperation while feeding her dossier, gatherings swelling with shared outrage, smears painting me violent, her a grifter. Us radicals, venomous flyers littering lawns, but probes infiltrated under routine checks he embraced unwittingly, board flips under immunity spilling beans on secret meetings, DOJ eyeing. Discrimination with federal scrutiny. Audits uncovering $240,000 irregularities, including his BMW dips disguised as expenses, each lash adding to his noose, self-incriminating emails surfacing. His safety summit at Town Hall, his crowning folly. Inviting brass and press for our expulsion, flyers forging my rage history with doctored quotes, her as payout chaser, me rallying 30 backers. For last stand, please, hearts pounding in unity, but shadows held AG agents, feds, media packets, his delusion blind to our ace, arrogance blinding him to the gathering storm. Hall jammed with 120. Tension thick as fog, murmurs building like thunder, Victor's slideshow damning us as blights, demanding bans with theatrical gestures, my testimony raw on her crawl-ups and fine burdens. Voice breaking with pent-up emotion, crowd stirring uneasily, then mayor beamed, special guest incoming. Doors parting for Governor Sophia Reynolds, gasps thundering through the space. Victor paling spectral, face contorting in slow-motion horror, flashes strobing as she advanced. You've tormented Ohio's governor for months, Mr. Hale. Consider it a lesson. Eruption chaotic. Ovations roaring like liberation. She detailed $50 million oversight, $280,000 grants voided by his bigotry, clauses recited like indictments, AGs serving papers amid scrambling, marshals' warrants flashing. Badges, auditors freezing assets with swift orders, Victor crumbling to denials and threats. Voice rising in panic, escorted ranting about conspiracies, board quitting en masse in hurried whispers. Mrs. Jenkins interim chief amid cheers, story viral as governors stand against bias, headlines blazing across screens. A week on, we rebuilt her ramp communally, 47 pitching in amid grills and laughs, cedar scents healing scars, tools singing in harmony. Mr. Thompson's gear free, now a landmark with engraved thanks. Victor drew 18 months federal time for fraud and rights abuses. 3 years probation, $250,000 payback haunting his dreams, firm bankrupt amid auctions, license yanked, fleeing shadowed by records that dogged every step. Willow Creek bloomed, Mrs. Jenkins reforming rules for inclusion, potlucks fostering bonds with shared stories, values up 12%, Sophia's law mandating training and oversight, model for 17 states amid legislative waves. I launched accessibility builds across regions, tools now symbols of empowerment, our bond ironclad in respect forged through fire, reclaimed funds upgraded 12 homes, gardens thriving with vibrant blooms, Ramp Fest annual aid bash drawing crowds. Lena's Pulitzer probe rippled nationally, Doc shattered barriers, educating masses in classrooms and beyond. Willow Creek a beacon of resilience. In the end, as Sophia glides her ramp under stars, wheels whispering freedom, plaque honoring resistors gleaming in moonlight, I reflect on rebuilt lives, bullies toppled not by fury but calculated. Justice, a testament to standing tall against the small-minded, closure sweet as dawn's first light, the neighborhood alive with laughter where fear once reigned. But tell me, was this revenge too far, or pure justice served? Does exposing tyrants cross ethical lines? Or is it the moral duty when power corrupts the vulnerable? Drop your thoughts below. Let's debate the gray areas of right and Wrong in the comments.